The fallout from this decision is spreading through the basketball world faster than anyone imagined, reshaping reputations, redefining alliances, and forcing every player, coach, sponsor, and executive to confront a new reality that can no longer be ignored. Team USA has made its choice. The future of women's basketball will be built on vision, leadership, and global appeal, and Caitlin Clark represents all three in a way the sport hasn't seen in decades. What happened to A'ja Wilson isn't just a personal setback. It's a seismic shift in how the basketball hierarchy operates. A reminder that no amount of past glory can compete with the tidal wave of influence Clark brings with her every time she steps onto a court or lights up a television screen. The truth is that Team USA had been watching the tension for months, witnessing how Wilson's behavior slowly alienated fans, sponsors, and fellow athletes. Every cryptic post, every dig disguised as commentary, every comparison rooted in resentment rather than competition, it all built a case that went far beyond basketball skill. A national team cannot be built on resentment. It cannot thrive under the weight of bitterness. Team USA officials saw Wilson's frustration transforming into something disruptive, something that could fracture locker room chemistry during the most important international cycle in modern history. And when the moment finally arrived to choose between a fading star clinging to past dominance and a rising force capable of carrying the program into a new era, the answer became unavoidable. What makes this moment feel so monumental is how quickly the narrative around Clark has changed the entire landscape of women's sports. It wasn't long ago that rookies were expected to wait their turn, defer to veterans, and slowly climb the ladder of respect. Clark didn't just climb that ladder, she replaced it altogether. Her popularity isn't a trend, it's a phenomenon. Her impact isn't limited to the WNBA. It reverberates across college arenas, Olympic committees, youth basketball programs, and international markets hungry for an American superstar who plays with flair, precision, and grace. While Wilson fought to hold on to relevance through negativity, Clark elevated herself through excellence. Her absence during the early months of 2025 only added to her mystique. Fans didn't drift away. They grew more eager for her return. Analysts didn't question her longevity. They predicted an even greater second act. And Team USA didn't waver in their plans. They waited for her, structured systems around her, and prepared for a future where she becomes the centerpiece of global competition. The injury didn't diminish her value. If anything, it reminded everyone how irreplaceable she has already become. Wilson, on the other hand, watched as the world continued spinning without her, perhaps faster than she ever anticipated. With every new headline featuring Clark, every record-breaking audience number, every highlight clip that ignited social media, Wilson's resentment deepened. She could feel herself slipping from the spotlight, replaced not by disrespect, but by evolution. The sport had outgrown her attitude, even as her skills remained sharp. Yet skill alone is no longer the currency that builds legacies. Influence is, leadership is, the ability to bring people together is, and on that front, Wilson found herself competing in a game she had already lost. The basketball world began noticing the divide long before USA Basketball made anything official. Coaches whispered about the unnecessary drama. Teammates quietly distanced themselves. Sponsors tightened their budgets. The energy around Wilson shifted, becoming something unpredictable, something unstable. Meanwhile, Clark continued working, listening, preparing. She didn't respond to Wilson's attacks. She didn't feed the fire. She didn't engage. And ironically, her silence became the loudest statement of all. It demonstrated maturity beyond her years. The kind of poise that Team USA values far more than empty bravado or social media feuds. Even the international community sensed the shift. European coaches who once feared Wilson's physical dominance now say Clark's versatility is a more dangerous weapon. Her shooting range breaks defensive schemes. Her passing vision dismantles zones. Her decision-making elevates teammates. And more importantly, her presence alone energizes crowds in ways that feed momentum, ratings, and global enthusiasm. Team USA didn't just choose a player. They chose a movement that Wilson tried to undermine, a movement that grew despite her efforts, a movement that will continue with or without her. And that may be the part that stings most deeply. Wilson believed she was the centerpiece of the sport, until she realized she was replaceable in every category except her own pride. She tried to weaponize resentment, but resentment has never won championships. She tried to diminish Clark's accomplishments, but the world had already made up its mind. She tried to claim injustice, but injustice wasn't the issue. The issue was that the game had evolved beyond her approach, and she never adapted. The harsh truth is that the greatest athletes are remembered not only for what they do on the court, but for what they represent beyond it. Clark represents opportunity, growth, and the future of women's basketball. Wilson represents a chapter that has closed itself through unnecessary hostility and short-sighted decisions. And now, as Team USA prepares for the next era, the contrast between these two players has never been clearer. Clark is being welcomed into a leadership role that will define her for decades. Wilson is being quietly removed from rooms she once expected to dominate. She is learning the brutal reality that influence is earned through unity, not conflict. Through support, not sabotage. Through humility, not hostility. The message to the league, to young players, to sponsors watching this unfold, is unmistakable. The future belongs to those who elevate the game, not those who tear others down. Clark's rise wasn't fueled by media favoritism or manufactured hype. It was fueled by brilliance, discipline, and an ability to handle pressure without crumbling into insecurity. That is what Team USA wants. That is what fans want. That is what the sport needs. And for Wilson, the consequences will continue long after the rosters are finalized. Opportunities will diminish. Influence will fade. History will remember her talent, yes, but it will also remember how she handled the moment when the spotlight shifted. This was her chance to support a rising star, to mentor the next generation, to show grace in the face of change. Instead, she chose bitterness, and the sport chose to move on. Because this era of women's basketball has no room for ego-driven sabotage. It demands unity, growth, and vision. Clark embodies all three, and as she prepares to step into the global spotlight, onto the international stage, into the leadership role she has earned, the world will see exactly why Team USA made its decision. The future is here, and her name is Caitlin Clark. If you're still watching, let me know what you think. Did Team USA make the right decision? Should Wilson have handled things differently? And how do you see Clark shaping the future of women's basketball? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if this breakdown kept you hooked, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next chapter of this unfolding basketball drama.